What's up everyone, my name is Mike and welcome back to my channel, and I made another purchase on the marketplace. This purchase was back in December when Groot was actually released in his holiday format, so I picked up myself an uncommon Groot. And when it comes to Veve, like I've said in previous videos, I'm focusing on what I know best, and I know best on the Veve app at least, Marvel, DC, and all those different characters and collectibles, so I'm sticking with that, and that's why I went ahead and purchased a Groot on this app. Now I know with Groot, the fact that they leaned into him being a festive holiday Christmas time Groot and they dressed him up with lights and even a Santa hat kind of devalues Groot being on the app, especially as a first appearance because of that seasonality of Groot. That being said, he was only selling for 45 gems and I had to pick one up being that he was the first appearance. And that's what I'm focusing on when it comes to collecting on the Veve app. I want to make sure that we see an FA or at least an FE in front of the number of edition that we got. And in this case, we've got the FA 10,948 of the Groot of a total of 18,888 possible Groots of this uncommon. And ultimately, I couldn't turn this down. Even in the aftermarket, when it opened up for Groot to be sold, you could actually get a Groot for less than it cost to get him on the blind box. He costed 40 gems to purchase with that blind box drop, and I got him at 45 for an uncommon. Commons were even trading below that at some points, as well as the uncommon. So obviously the demand spoke for itself with that. There was a huge supply of it on the market. Tons were being listed, and really the demand just wasn't there for a festive holiday Groot because of the seasonality of that. But I still think this is such a great thing to have in your vault, being that it's the first appearance for Groot. I think we'll definitely see a rise in demand for Groot in the long term. And there's really two reasons behind my thinking behind this. Number one is that Groot is going to get an animated TV series dedicated solely to Groot. And the fact that they decided to move ahead with that obviously shows that Groot is a popular character and Groot is only going to get more and more popular as we expand with the Marvel universe. Obviously, Groot appeals to a wide range of audiences from young to old, as does the Guardians of the Galaxy. And that's the second reason, is that there's going to be another Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and Groot is going to be obviously a main character in that. So when that eventually comes out, and when the animated series eventually comes out, obviously we're going to see the popularity of Groot grow. Now with that popularity comes more demand for Groot. And even though we see him in a festive holiday format, perhaps when that season comes back, we will see Groot demand even grow higher at that moment in time. Now I completely almost forgot to mention the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special will be coming out this December 2022. And with that realization, it kind of makes sense that they have a Groot in a holiday special format in anticipation of this, even if it is 1 year ahead of time. I think that that could actually be a good catalyst for this Groot as people see that special, and if it does well and if it is popular and Groot is an obviously main character in that, I think we'll see Groot become more popular on this Veve platform, and especially in that holiday special attire. So I'm super excited that I've got my Groot for that catalyst to see what happens with it, and ultimately it's just one Groot. I'm happy to have him in my vault. This is all just theorizing my thoughts, my reasoning behind purchasing the Groot, but ultimately it was such a low price that I couldn't give up not having a Groot as a first appearance in my vault, and that was the real thought process as to why I needed a Groot in my vault. Do I think I'm gonna make a killing on this Groot? No, most definitely not. I think I'd be happy to get about 100 gems for the Groot overall in the short term, and perhaps upwards of 200 gems over the long term, depending on what happens with the character and the future plans for it in the Marvel universe. However, much like my Marvel Mighties purchase, I was happy to have them because of the low barrier to entry with them. I was picking them up at 20 gems and had no problem holding on to them until I saw that they went up 400% in some cases. So if this happens to Groot, I'm more than likely exiting my position on Groot, even though he's a first appearance. But I really like that he had a low barrier to entry. It just made total sense to pick one up, keep it in my vault, and perhaps I should have picked up more than just one of them if I feel like this Groot will go up 100% or in some cases maybe even 200% in the long term. But ultimately, I had other characters on my mind that I wanted to put my money to, and so I just picked up that one uncommon. Now, I've also seen other people online talking about how they picked up multiples of Groot. The listing price, the floor price of that Groot in the aftermarket was lower than what it cost to actually get that blind box. And that's really rare to see. And I think it makes sense at that point that perhaps you should pick up more than just one of them, because in all likelihood, that price will raise above what that cost was to purchase him in the first place. I don't know if there's been many other collectibles that have done that, where they list in the aftermarket at a lower price than what they actually cost in that blind box. But Groot was that first one, and that provided opportunity for people to pick them up even though they didn't get the drop, which is really interesting. And with this being one of those few times where you get a drop and the price actually goes down in the aftermarket afterwards, I think people were really surprised that this can actually happen. But to be honest, I think it's going to become more and more frequent as Veve grows. You shouldn't expect just because you get a drop that it's going to increase in the aftermarket and you're going to make a profit on those gems, especially if you don't get the ultra rare or secret rare in a series. Just because you get a drop doesn't mean you're entitled to an increase in gems if you're going to flip that in the aftermarket. As Veve grows, so will its user base, but also so will the amount of collectibles that they release with that. And as people have more choices of where they put their gems with the collectibles that they want to purchase and the sets that they want to collect, the amount of users and the amount of gems that those users are purchasing really needs to increase exponentially to be able to keep up with that. I do think in the future we'll start to see many more common and uncommon, especially if they're not first appearance and first edition, not really live up to the amount of gems that you purchase it for if you got the drop. And I just think that just makes sense over time that will happen. When it comes to first appearances and first editions, I think you'll be pretty safe when it comes to that. But when collectibles are released in new editions and new forms, we'll definitely see some sort of effect happen like that. Now, do I think that you should pick up more than one Groot? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's quite the collectible that you want to put a lot of your gems into and wait for the appearance of Groot in that future Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which I don't think is coming out for at least another year or two. Perhaps the animated series with Groot will be coming out sooner than later, and we might see that popularity increase then. But perhaps this is something that maybe just hold for 10 more months, wait for the Christmas season to come back, and perhaps the popularity of Groot in that Christmas gear, in the Santa hat, and with the lights going around him, perhaps that's going to be enough to cause his demand to increase once again. Though I'm not banking on that. I don't think that that's the type of audience that is on Veve and hoping to get collectibles. I think most people saw the niche that they put Groot in with that festive appearance, and they decided to pass him by. And really only time will tell whether or not they made the right decision, or if people picking up 20 common Groots is going to be the thing that's going to make them a lot of gems back in return on the Veve platform. Who really knows? Who really can make the right predictions in this? Nobody can. Nobody can create a price prediction for 1, 2, 3 months down the road, or nevertheless a year down the road. We just don't know the demand that's going to be there. We don't know what's going to happen in Veve to change it, to get more users into the user base, and to get more demand for certain collectibles. But ultimately, if I see a first appearance of a character that I like, or of a collectible that's going to be increasingly popular over time, such as this Groot, and it's trading below the cost to which you could get it in the blind box or slightly above it with this 45 gems, it just makes sense to pick one up if you have the gems available to allocate to that collectible. Again, this is not financial advice. This is my own thinking, my own thoughts behind my own moves, trying to justify purchasing a Groot to you. And really, I'm just a guy on YouTube making these videos. You do not have to listen to me. You should be making your own game plans, your own decisions behind purchasing collectibles and making sure that they're sound judgments and you're not putting in more money than you can afford to lose on this platform. I want to know your thoughts about what I should do with Groot. Leave them in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on what I've been talking about in this video and what your game plan would be if you picked up a Groot. And if you picked up multiple groups, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know, and I'd love to know your game plan behind what you're going to be doing with all those Groots. If you enjoyed this video, if you got something from it, I'd really love a like. Hit that like button and definitely hit the subscribe button for more content if you enjoy me talking about my journey on Veve. And thank you so much for watching.